Look at this. We are back. It has been a while, all right? I am, feels good to be back in the element. It's been a while since I've had to set up, since we've shifted to weekly. I've had some folks hit me up saying, Chris, what's going on? I haven't seen the show. I'm not being filled in. I don't know what's going on. And of course, those messages mean a lot. It means that what we're doing here is making an impact on some folks, and certainly doing its job in terms of keeping folks involved and engaged. And certainly, we're here with the new setup. The new setup, of course, is a weekly show that's on Sunday here with the same mission, which is to bring home the discussion of what's going on in the country of Haiti, but focus that on, as the name over here describes, business, Haiti biz news, certainly, and bring home stories of players in the economic space that are doing good work, fantastic work, and of course, but unfortunately, the amount of time I can spend on those stories is limited because of the political protests that are happening, and we have to talk about it, have to engage it, because right now it's bleeding into so much of what is happening in the business sphere. But of course, we still engage it from the perspective that a lot of other media streams aren't going to talk about, which is the real stories. The fact that I'm here in the country and I can tell you exactly what my sources are telling me directly, that are 1 or 2 steps away from the action on the ground. And of course, we do it in the perspective of how do we improve things, right? What's the real story, and how we move things. And of course, the idea here is to I'm not just a guy yapping on camera in a studio room. It's really about the conversations, right? I have co-hosts, and the amount of co-hosts I have on air is determined on how many people are on the live who are communicating and responding. I already got 2 folks here, one from YouTube, one from Facebook. We got Alexis, right? Good morning, and tell mom good morning too, right? And then we got Troy Miller on Facebook. Good morning, right? And the hope and idea here is we have engagement, right? As much perspective, it's not just me providing my perspective on what's going on in Haiti, but the perspective of other folks who may be in Haiti, and even the folks who are outside and just want to have questions, want to have a direct conversation about what's going on from someone who is here and who is going to do his best not to be biased, over emotional. Certainly, we're looking forward to that, because again, I'm not the only guy here, a part of this. We have, if we have 20 people on the stream, that means we have 20 co-hosts, 20 people who should all be contributing and adding to the conversation of what's going on. Because the more we can have those different perspectives, the more it means that we are doing a deeper dive and having a better understanding. And truly, at the end of the day, when we have a better understanding or deeper dive, then we can know what to do to move forward in the most productive and impactful way, right? And of course, a few other folks coming into the stream. We got John Talisman. Good morning. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. And I've seen a lot of faces, a lot of names that I usually see during my weekly daily show. So I'm really happy to see those folks coming back. Tamara Jimenez, first time I've seen you in the stream. Hope to see you again. Hello, good morning. We got Marie Liberté Financière. Very happy to see you this morning. One of my definite regulars from the daily show. So definitely, thanks for being back. And then we got Sheena Mill. It looks a little bit familiar. Not really remembering the names. If it's your first time, Shania Mill, definitely good morning. And of course, we have the IG stream here. Let me lighten this up a little bit. A little dark, can't really see too much. And we got, definitely some regulars. We got Lori, Natalie in here. Good morning. Good to see you again, my dear. We got Ken David. Good morning. Good morning. We got and Bynes like I suppose. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you guys on the stream. Very happy to see folks here Sunday morning. I know Sunday might be a little tricky between church and between just, recreational and cutting the lawn and a bunch of other stuff. I know it's might be a little more difficult for folks to be in here. But listen, one of the benefits of having this Sunday show is, no rush. No rush, right? We're here it's a really, deep dive in the news, talking points. Whereas in the morning, I'm trying to quickly get in, get out, and keep the show to a particular time cap we're gonna stay here as long as we need to get through the news stories, right? And of course, you can always, if you have to leave or go, you can always just come right back. You can always come right back and catch, because these are recorded, right? These stay on air, right? And so you can always come back and then pick up later in the day to see where the conversation went, right? All right. So again, good morning, folks. Good morning. We got Adele, Alfred in the stream. Good to see you, my dear. Good to see you here this morning. Good morning. Good morning. We got Business Consultant 1988 here saying he's gonna hit church first. I don't mind. Go ahead, praise. Give God the praise. Go ahead, man. But again, hope to catch you. Hope you can catch the stream a little later. It's all good. It's all good. Good morning. But yeah, let's just talk. Let's just kind of get into the headlines a little bit, or at least the usual routine, right? So first and foremost, of course, we YouTube Seejeanty, www.youtube.com/Seejeanty, one word. We have a real cool video that is hopefully going to be one of many videos to come, which is a Haiti real estate video. It's a video where we're highlighting Tropic Complex, and we're doing it from a very different perspective, a different angle. No people in it, just the actual property. And I want to do more of these. I've reached out to a few realtors in Haiti, and I want to be able to highlight some of the real cool commercial and residential properties that exist in the country. It's very important that we start. Again, it's the whole point of this of the YouTube channel in particular. Not just the Haiti Biz segment, the YouTube channel is to control the narrative and control some of the images that we have going out to the world. And we have some really cool, again, residential, commercial, properties in the country that are on par with Venice and Europe and Miami, but they're, for the most part, hidden behind walls, right, are very far off removed. And I want to kind of just start showcasing those properties that exist, because it's not shanty towns of the poor that exist. There's real nice livable arrangements, and I want to start showing that, and I want to start highlighting that. So I got this real cool video. Again, if you haven't seen it yet, it's going to be in the link below, but of course you just go to my YouTube channel, you can check that out. That was just my first video, which is certainly going to be improving it, cleaning it up, doing a lot of different things as time goes on. But if you haven't seen that video yet, do make some time, go check that out. Also, I want to say we did it. 2,000 subscribers. 2,000 subscribers. We just hit yesterday. In fact, just yesterday we had 2,000 subscribers. So again, everyone who subscribed right now, I want to thank you for signing up. For trying to keep yourselves informed. For those who have shared the channel to other folks, it's really been phenomenal to grow, to start at 0 and now see 2,000 subscribers. It's really humbling. It means I'm resonating. What we're doing here is resonating to folks. But there's a lot more to do. We're only just scratched the surface. And especially once things can calm down. I mean, I've had so much content that I've had to shelf because of what's been going on in the country. I haven't been able to go out and go to these really awesome, different, cool. Oh my God, it's pretty frustrating. I can tell you the amount of real cool content I had planned that I've had to shelf. But nonetheless, especially when things get cool again, calm again, we will be back shooting these real awesome content. But again, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so. And again, do share the content that you like so far. Do go ahead and share it. Let's get the word out about what Haiti has to offer. We have to control that narrative, because again, I can tell you, Jamaica's a lot more violent. Mexico, there's gang. I mean, like literally organized gang warfare, heads being chopped off left and right. But no one's canceling their trip to Cancun. No one's canceling their trip to Montego Bay, right? So we really got to get that. And that's because they control their narrative. We don't control ours, right? And of course, the Haiti Biz News website, while I've been away, and everything we talk about here, you'll be able to find on Haiti Biz News, Haiti BIZ News.com. That's again, Haiti BIZ News, one word.com. And even while I'm away during the week, I do hope you guys have that as part of your routine, because I created it because I wasn't seeing enough news content from across the internet spectrum in one place, and in particular not in English. They're all in French and everything, so I automatically translate it to English, and puts it in a place that's accessible. It looks real cool, real good, real clean. It looks nice on your phone as you're, in the morning, or it looks really good on the website. We spend a lot of time and money to make sure that website looks good, and it's free. We don't charge for it. It's something that needs to be done. We need to improve the educational quotient of the folks living abroad, and that's what Haiti Biz News is about. So again, you get a chance, HaitiBizNews.com. We are going to talk about, so the plunge GoFundMe did conclude. I believe they concluded with about $27,000 raised, which is phenomenal. I'm very happy to hear a lot of that money. Some of that money came from you guys on the stream. So certainly appreciate you guys for stepping up and participating in that. So thank you for that, guys. But certainly we have more we can do, and we're going to talk about a story that unfortunately isn't the best, but the outcome is going to be positive, we hope, and that is a new business that was affected and a new GoFundMe to help that. And I'll be talking about that GoFundMe on the stream later in the cast. But again, I just want to give a shout out to the folks who did contribute to the plunge rebuilding effort, and we do appreciate you for doing that, right? And again, share the stream for those who are coming in right now. Those who know what we do here, share the stream. Let other folks come in. The more we can have a conversation, the better, right? And we can do that by sharing it on your Facebook, sharing it on your WhatsApp, whatever, just to get some more folks in here. And for those who are perhaps new, I promise you, it's going to be a really good conversation. And the more folks we can have in here commenting and providing their perspectives, the better quality conversation we can have. So let's share that stream. Let's bring some folks in here, and let's really impact as much folks we can this morning, right? So let me take a look at I already got some comments in here. Let me go and take a look and see, what folks are saying. Okay, now David, good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. Again, happy to have you this Sunday. Good morning, brother. Evil Alexis is saying there's some protests in Guinea. There's protests happening all around the world. We did talk about it before we left, and the protests do have one thing in common, certainly, and that is a discontent of the people for the status quo. And many of these folks, their governments aren't connected to the plight of the poorest and the majority of the country, and it may be happening in Ecuador, right? May be happening it may be happening in. Actually, let me see something here. I got a very important message I got to respond to. All right. So maybe happening in Ecuador, maybe happening in Colombia, may it be happening in France, may it be happening, or there's other big protests that are occurring. Iraq, they all have one common theme, really, and that is a discontent with how things are, and the disconnect of their governments. And certainly, it's the same thing as it is here in Haiti, right? So there is certainly that level of connection for sure. We got Rodney. Ooh, that's a tough name. So I say we used to sample for. I'm just gonna call him Rodney. Sakbase, yeah, definitely happy to have you here, and hope to see you again, Rodney. Appreciate you. We got Bounce Bougie 11. Good to see you in the chat. Definitely a regular. It's good to see you in here, brother. Right. Canal David responding to the real estate, saying covering real estate, residential, commercial would be good addition to your segments. That would be helpful. Definitely, certainly, absolutely. I just need a little more engagement from my real estate people. So if you guys know any realtors in Haiti, y'all send them my way, because I certainly want to start showcasing some more stuff. So y'all, anyone who knows any realtors, I've already reached out to a few, but if you guys know anybody, make sure you reach out to me on that. We got David Bassett. Good to see you. Definitely a regular minds here from the daily series. Good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. We got Keith Martin. Good to see you. Good to see you this morning. Another regular. Happy to see you. She says, I see Ascania chocolates on the desk. Yes. I got something really cool dropping this week. All right. I got something really cool. And you can see the box is just about empty. It was a full box. I took care of that. But don't you worry. There's something we're dropping In fact, on Wednesday, we're going to be dropping a real cool episode on Wednesday related to Seejeanty. So just wait and see. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have that notification on so you find out about that as soon as it drops. Okay, you got some very observant folks here in the chat here this morning. We got Lawrence Gonzales. Good morning, my brother. Good to see you. Again, if you guys aren't following Lawrence on his IG, man, you're missing out on a lot of really good informational stuff. Finance expert, a guru, as it is, a guy who's was able to change his credit score in the low 600s or something to 800s. Was able to turn around his net income from negative 100,000, something like that, to positive 100,000 now. So he's a guy you want to make sure you're following. He's a GQ accountant on Instagram. GQ accountant. Lawrence, feel free and drop your IG tag. Get some folks following. Drop some really informative stories. So again, guys, if you may, Lawrence, please, you can pub yourself there. All right. And Lawrence says, definitely worth the while listening. And a conversational channel. Too much political radio punditry. Haiti Biz News is a welcome change of pace. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, good job speaking about not just the Haitian issues, but awareness, objectivity, and a clear mind. Thank you. That's what we try to do here. Appreciate the recognition. Thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate it. Pierre Paul is someone your regular. Good morning, brother. Good morning. It says one of the recent articles I've seen was an attack on the cultural center. We're going to talk about that. Thanks for bringing that up. We're definitely going to talk about that. Opposition should stop. Let's put a stop to it, but they don't. I'm starting to rethink this voyer à l'essa. All right, we're going to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about it. Lita Midget, good morning. Good to see you here. It was a pleasure to see you, my dear. Happy to have you. Right? Thank you on the 2K. Right? Lawrence corrected me. 5:15 to 8:27. Listen, drop your IG tag, man. Let's get some folks following you so they can share in the knowledge growth. Right? We got Evie Ariston saying good morning. I think I remember seeing you towards my last few episodes, maybe, but certainly good morning, and good to see you in the stream, right? And let's take a quick look on IG here, and then I'll jump in the news. Let's see. We got business consultants saying I'm one of the realtors in Haiti, and I started real estate in Haiti 3 years. So yeah, man, business consultant. Let's reach out, man. Let's reach out. Send me a private message, and if you have any really nice looking properties, let's schedule something. I want to get on there, showcase it. It's a win-win for everybody. I don't charge for this. What I do, it's all about controlling the narrative, right? And a big part of it is our imagery. And again, it's something I cover out of my own pocket, man. So let me know. I think a lot of these realtors, because they don't, I think when it comes to Haiti, man, when you have some, you have a Haitian American, qui parle en créole qui foncé, right? And he comes up and says, man, I'm just trying to promote the country, man. I like to highlight your restaurant. I like to highlight your hotel, your business, and I'm not charging anything. I think a lot of it's like, who is this? Who's really not? What? Not charging. Narrative. Get out of here with that. I think it's a good amount of that. But I think over the time I've been doing what I'm doing, I think I've changed some opinions, and I've showed I am genuine about what I'm trying to do, and it's starting to get a little easier, but still, it's still a little rough because Haitians, unfortunately, we are a race of people who don't trust each other, and that's a very sad thing. And Haiti really, Haiti won't change until we get past that and we start building some interracial trust amongst each other. It is what it is. But it's one activity, one action at a time. We'll get there. And so again, business consultant in 1988. I love to get a few properties, start sharing and showing some folks. I am really about that. So again, look forward to hearing from you. All right. And we got Tiffy Karibe. Good morning. Good to see you. Edwin Williams. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So let's jump into the news today. So first thing, we have protests to update you on, and there's quite a bit of protest news to update folks on. First and foremost, we've had the protests overall. I can tell you from the perspective of how I live my life. The first 2 days of last week was particularly challenging. We had an intensification of probably the most intense protests that occurred in terms of paid lock the first 2 days of last week, Monday and Tuesday. But they did die down the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday onward, to where folks were able to kind of get back to the flow of things and what they're trying to do. And surprisingly, the holidays, the Gay Day, which happened on Friday and then Saturday as well, was relatively a quiet affair. We didn't have too much dizzle, which was a little unexpected for folks. But even with the increased protests, and when I say protests, I want to say like literally roadblocks in the metro area, right, that prevent activity happening from going into Petroville, et cetera. Even with that, we can say a lot of it was very much concentrated still in areas that the president is suspected to be near his home or between the National Palace. In fact, on Tuesday, across the entire known path of where the president commutes to the National Palace, there were dozens of roadblocks put, and literally countless of different police organizations, from CIMO to CNE to Public Works, had to clear the road to allow the president to get to the National Palace, which happened. Actually, it happened. He was able to get to the National Palace after much delay. I may have to get some water. Throat is not behaving appropriately. And but still, the protests are getting very much laser focused. But meanwhile, though, it's still very collaborative across the spectrum of the economy. We still have unions, associations who are protesting. We have religious groups from the Catholic Church to non-denominational protesting. We have health professionals, from doctors to nurses to midwives, all across the spectrum, who have protested this past week in different areas. We've had judicial officials, judges from all different sectors of courts deciding not to come to work in protests. Not all, but enough, right? That's already backed up a very clogged judiciary system, certainly at the dismay of many who are in prison waiting for trial, right? And the big one was last Sunday. We had police officers who protested. A good majority, some estimate 20 to 30% of the police force across the country and higher in the metro area took part of a protest to ask for better working conditions. Right now, they weren't to be clear, they weren't protesting for the departure of Jovenel, but their position also wasn't for him to stay. Right, they weren't saying he needs to go, but they also weren't saying he needs to stay. Right, but their focus, attention was to ask for more improved conditions in their environment, including protections in case something happens to them and their family, including and taking care of their pay, including back pay for a lot of them having been paid, including raises. A lot of them have not had raises in years, including things, for example, to be able to take loans to buy and build homes. A lot of small things that can really impact the quality of life for an officer, both currently in and out. And certainly, one thing to note, and it was noted very clearly, that there was no tear gas thrown. There wasn't any intervention of the police that were not protesting. There was no engagement from that police, which a lot of people noted and said, "Hey, if you guys aren't gonna fire on these guys when they're protesting for improvement of their condition, why are you going to fire tear gas and try to disperse other peaceful protests of the same vein?" Right. So again, the protests are still going on very strong. It hasn't let up in the least bit. Pay is still very much low. Right. We have the Trump administration has made at least two statements thus far, while prior remaining very quiet and making it very clear that they are for the dialogue. They are for Jovenel staying as president, and secondly, they are for dialogue. Right? They've made an unequivocal statement through the embassy and directly through spokesmen that the difference between Jovenel and Haiti and Maduro and Venezuela is that President Moise was voted democratically in an election that the world recognized as a fair election. Not only the first one, but then even the second one that even though the Haitian opposition at the time said no, we were not going to accept that, they still revoted, and that was also recognized as a fair election, right? And so because of that, this is from the Trump administration, they are for the President Jovenel remaining, and dialogue needs to occur. That's their stance. And then President Moise himself has made it very clear. I think an exact quote was, "If people think I am going to step down, they're dreaming in broad daylight." That's the quote from Jovenel and or his spokesman. Right, he is not stepping down. Right, and with the United States, who it's been very clear that the only support he has right now is from the United States and thus the international community. We're going to be in this situation for a long time, right? At least until the opposition backs down. Now, the opposition, to their part, they've continued on their process. A lot of folks have criticized and said, "What's next? What's going to happen next?" And we've talked about this in the past of what's going to happen next. And what happened next is there's going to be a commission set up to bring about a transitional government, placeholder government, and what should happen then will be a discussion of a new constitution. The Handover Commission, that's a part of this process, has already decided on 3 members of the Cour de Cassation that is going to be part of the assembly that would pick then the transitional president, who should also come from this Cour de Cassation, the temporary president, who's going to lead this, right? And the 3 members have already been selected. And what's next is for them to ultimately select the transitional president. That's supposed to happen within the next few days. So that's continuing to happen. I want to make it very clear that the opposition is not recognizing any action made from the president at this time, and are moving forward with electing imagine what's going on with Venezuela right now. You have a secondary president who most of the world is recognizing as the legitimate leader of Venezuela, despite Maduro still holding all the reins of legitimate power in the country. So this is kind of the play that a lot of the opposition are trying to do right now. They're trying to set up a secondary person here to be to usher, right, once President Moise does resign, as their mission is, right? So that's really the critical updates as relates to the protests. Some of the more extreme things we have to talk about, right? Because I don't need folks saying I'm glossing over anything. Acts of vandalism, okay? Coin 95, a very well-respected restaurant in Delma, around Delma 95, which is an area very close to Petroville, was burnt to the ground. I've never been there. I've seen a lot of good things from there, because I follow them on social media. They had an incredible atmosphere with incredibly engaged employees who are now out of work. And there's actually a GoFundMe, and you can find that GoFundMe below in my link here. I helped them set up. They're at about almost $2,000 to $3,000 raised so far of their $25,000 goal to try to get back on their feet and open. The owner, to their part, have stated that their mission is to continue to be here and rebuild and reopen as soon as possible. Certainly very heartbreaking and unacceptable. I want to make it clear that the folks who are doing these sort of vandalisms do not represent the whole of the protesters. They're made up of 0.1% of the worst of the worst that exists in every other country, right? And every other protest that exists. Haiti is no exception. We're certainly not all saints here in the country. And what's worse though in this situation though is that, again, a lot of the safeguards that would exist in other countries don't exist. The firefighters were very late they didn't actually respond at all, actually, in this case, as per my understanding. And there's no easy way to say it. Certainly, I know there's a lot of Haitians abroad who were happy, actually, this happens, because perversely, for a lot of Haitians, they generally would love, and again, these are Haitians now. This isn't Trump saying, Haiti's a shithole. It's other Haitians who love the feeling of vindication. For some reason, are very adverse to us here who are fighting very aggressively in the trenches to improve the condition of the country. Would much rather us not be engaged, which would much rather us be like them and just be critical of the country and just criticize and not do anything, right? And when they hear stories like this, they say, aha, see, I told you. Aha, I told you, you see? But when the owner of it's very important here, when the owner of the business goes on air and says, I'm not going to stop fighting to improve the situation in the country. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to allow a small percent of thugs to affect the livelihood, not of me, but of my employees. And we're going to push forward. That gives me hope. That is the narrative that more Haitians need to be sharing, because that's the narrative that improves and changes the country, right? The Caribbean, and that story I don't think we've shared here, which is the Caribbean Crafts, which is a large craft maker, artisan. They're an artisan manufacturer, right? A lot of artisans go there and they create a lot of their products in large bulk. There was a fire next door to where they were, which spread to their factory and burnt everything down, including a lot of products and inventory, which is very sad because the product inventory really isn't theirs, but for the artisans. And they were on NPR, and they went on NPR and talked about their perspective. And again, the conversation from these owners were very clear, right? And a lot of these owners, I believe a good amount of them were, if I remember the story of Caribbean Craft correctly, it was founded by a white NGO worker who came in during an earthquake and saw that and understood that the issue of Haiti isn't a charity or isn't the fact that folks are poor, it's that folks need jobs, right? And there's a lot of talents and skill sets that exist. And so she created something that would outlast the aid that she knew wasn't going to necessarily stay here forever. And since then, she created the company. What she's grew into was providing hundreds of jobs, both directly and indirectly through the artisans that were involved. And though she heard the factory was burnt down, again, not intentional. It was next door. They were intentionally trying to burn down the Avis rental car, which that's another business, right? But in any case, her response, which was missed, I shared the article, and her response was very clear. She's not going anywhere. She's going to rebuild and return to impacting Haitians and the lives of Haitians in a positive way, right? But you feel free, and you can see the responses on my Seejeanty Facebook. You see, countless, a few Haitians on there, Haitians now, who are responding. Aha, see, I told you so. And of course, I'm one who I don't have enough followers to not allow me to not engage. So I engaged very aggressively to let them know, listen, this is, not the point of these stories. The point of these stories is to share what the perspective of the owner is, which is they understand the way forward is what they're doing right now, and they're not going to detract a few actions of a few thugs to detract from the only thing that can change this country, which is jobs and industry that can provide them, right? We had the University of Haiti's campus vandalized by former students who were expelled from the university and did out of anger. Again, you see, the University of Haiti has thousands of students, but there was a small subset of 10 who took it upon themselves to break into the university's campus and burn a truck, in addition to trying to get into the campus. But luckily, things were properly bolted down and closed. The security guard, chased them out. And additionally, the MUNIPA, the National Museum of Haiti, right? It's a much longer name, but I'm not going to butcher it. Was also attempted to be vandalized. There were Molotov cocktails sent. And if you guys know where the museum is, it's in Chamas, which is at the heart of a lot where the protests congregate. So certainly near the National Palace, for example. So certainly it makes sense that it would be a very convenient target for the worst of some of these thugs who have no real reason to be on the streets other than to cause mischief. Meanwhile, 95% of folks who are on the street are there for the mission of trying to improve government accountability. And that was also attempted to be vandalized. But again, I want to stress that. I need to stress that we cannot take the actions of a few dozen thugs when you have hundreds of thousands. I've posted photos on my social media where literally, I mean, from here to the very farthest point in the horizon, it's people, right? It's people on the street protesting, right? And so you can't take the handful of one or two deplorable thugs that infiltrate those crowds and say that, aha, this is representative of the entire movement. This is representative of the opposition, right? We got to make that dynamic very clear, right? Too often we as minorities, we take the actions of one and put it to everybody, whereas when one mass shooter in America goes in and shoots up a movie theater, white people are very clear and they say this is just this one individual. It's not representative of anyone else but this one individual, right? But yet every other race doesn't do that, right? We take it as a national embarrassment for us if one person does it, and that is a problem that has to be recognized as a fault that we need to correct amongst ourselves. And in Haiti's case, we need to be very clear: the action of a few thugs does not disparage the important movement that is happening to decrease corruption, improve the quality of life of the poor and the middle class, and remove a system that has benefited no one except the few that are up on top of that system, right? So let me stop right there before I go any further. Let me take a look at what some of my commenters are saying here. Let's see. Thank you, Evie. I appreciate that positive word. Evie, Aristine. Yeah, there we go. Appreciate the positive word. Evel, Alexis, Jovenel Zakir about the blood shed. Wonder why that is. It's because he wants to stay in power. On that note, there has been condemnation from Amnesty International about some of the excesses of police brutality, live bullets being used. And yes, Jovenel has not said much at all on that. So that is certainly being noted by people across the world, not just the Haitian community. Right? We got Malik Financier saying, I read on Living Release that the opposition is financing gang control. Opposition is financing gang to control the population, organized protests, and that the government controls. That the government controls 3. One on Fatima. This is why the place is so quiet. There is a relationship between political actors and gang activity, right? That's been established even before this happening with, for example, Senator Gracias Delva being found to be in correspondence with one of the most notorious gangsters at the time before he was arrested, Arnel Joseph. And it's well established that many senators do have direct contact with gangs members, particularly gang members in their particular commune that they represent, but across the country. And as such, it isn't a surprise. It wouldn't be a surprise that they are acting either in the direct behest of or indirect silence of, right? So not doing anything is the same as doing something, particularly when you're in connection with these sort of people. to the gang activity that's happening in certain parts of the country. And that's as far as I'm going to go and take it, just because until we have substantiation, why I can talk about the Grace Garcia's Delva is because the police came out and showed phone records. It was substantiated, and to the point where Garcia's Delva was removed from the Senate, from his ability to participate in the Senate. Right? He wasn't arrested as he should have been, to be quite honest with you, but at least he was removed from being able to participate in the Senate. He's still a senator, still getting a salary. You're just not allowed to participate, right? So I can talk about that because that's substantiated. And it's one thing I always do here is I only talk about what's substantiated, which is not the practice of most Haitian talking heads on the radio and across online. I only talk about what we know as fact, right? But again, I don't know what you just mentioned. I don't know any of that as fact, but I can tell you that there is a relationship between politicians and gang members. So we can say that with fact. Is there a direct link between what you just said, my liberty finance? I don't know, right? I got some conversations back and forth here in the chat between some of the guys and gals in there. Good. No problem. We have my liberty financier saying jobs. Haiti needs to become attractive, needs to attract foreign investors, provide security. Let me register business 24 hours, lower my taxes, and you will see investors coming. Absolutely. Yeah, I've talked about this many times, and I tell you the fact that one reason why I have not respected any president thus far, even though I always come at it very open, is that to me, it's a very clear thing. On day one, if I'm president, on day one, I write an executive order. We make the registration process one shop, $50, right? One database. That's it. I forgot. You want to protest because you can't corrupt and you can't take money to the side as a government administrative body. I forgot, right? But I think the people will recognize, both domestically and internationally, a president that comes in and on day one says, we're going to make it easier, not just like President Matali and Lamont made this Grimas campaign to go and say Haiti's open for business, right? But yet do nothing to change the structural performance of the country's business environment. Again, with the easiest thing being just make it stupid easy to register a corporation here, like as it is in Dominican Republic, 24 hours at $100. I'm gonna say it again, 24 hours at $100. Haiti, 4 months, $3,000. I just had an associate register their corporation here in Haiti a few months ago. It took him 4 months and $3,800. Something's wrong with that, right? And any serious president would, on day one, write or do whatever they needed to do, twist arms, right, and move the country in that direction, right? So my liberty fans, I do agree with you, absolutely, right? We got Rodney saying, can you discuss? I've discussed it. The Constitution being changed. I've discussed it. I think probably in the episode right before I left, or the one before that, we spent a lot of time talking about that. So please do take a look at my most recent live Haiti Biz News show, where we went in depth about the constitutional change. So it'll be worth your time, certainly. Just skip ahead a little bit to when we get engaged in. And we'll probably most likely at some point re-engage it here on the weekly show, but I do want a lot of news to talk about. I want to keep it compact. But we have talked about it. Edwin Williams saying, I wouldn't put the past opposition to sponsor some activity, right? We need hard facts, but again, we can be confident to know that that's happening. But certainly, I don't have any specific concrete things to report on, right? We got John Telesma saying, hey, Chris, the opposition is opposed of burning and destroying the businesses. Why are they coming out with the protesters and saying that's not acceptable? I don't know any opposition that's expressly said to do that, right? I don't from the few that I have heard, their focus is on getting the president out, not necessarily burning businesses. I haven't heard Andre Michel. I haven't heard Antonio Charimi. I haven't heard even Yari Latotu. I haven't heard any of them say, hey, we need to go burn businesses, right? So I'm not sure if that's an accurate statement. As I mentioned, if there's a few thugs who are deciding to do that, that is representative of the thugs who are involved in it. And it's not representative of the entire movement. I just want to make that clear, right? And again, your feelings of what the opposition is, and when people say opposition, they mean the other political actors who are vying to replace President Moise. That's fine. You can hold a negative opinion on them because they are part of the same political machine that they're criticizing, right? A lot of these guys have been in power for years and have changed nothing. A lot of these guys have been in power, and despite that we're a parliamentary government where the parliament holds the power, they have not passed any legislation to improve the situation, where even though the power is in their hands, and yet they're sitting and decrying that there's a problem happening, there's an issue, right? So let's be clear on that. My conversation isn't about the opposition. It's about the 90% of the people who are on the streets asking for an improved way of life. I think a lot of folks who don't live here in the country don't really appreciate that there's a very clear distinction between the opposition and the people on the streets, right? Let's be clear. When the opposition calls for people to hit the streets, up until this point where you had gas crises and you had inflation 30%, and before the brood decreased 40%, they were calling from day one. Since President Jovenel has been in power, the opposition has been calling for protests and mass movements and yada, yada, yada. The people just looked at them like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to wait and see what this guy can do. Whatever vies for power that you guys are trying to do, we're cool. And that's why for the past 2-3 years, I know there's been an escalation, but it hasn't been this, right? What's happening right now is strictly from the exhaustion of the PEP and the population. That needs to be clear, right? Though you see the opposition like Andre Michel and et cetera, they're loud, they're in front of the cameras, they're getting sound bites. They have no control over when people protest. Now they're riding the wave, right? And you can potentially see a correlation between what they're saying and how people are behaving. But let's be clear, it's strictly a correlation. They have no genuine connection, right? The opposition, and what's going on right now in the protests are wholly a part of the exhaustion of bad governance and a system that is only getting worse for the people, right, currently living here, right? So it needs to be clear. I can't say it enough that the opposition is the opposition, and they're doing their thing, but very few people. There's such a disgust for politicians here in this country that when politicians say, when the oppositions go, let's go and riot, they're ignored, right? But instead what happens is, what's happening right now is that, again, folks are tired, they're hitting the streets anyways, and you're seeing the opposition talking, right? Got to be clear. And let's take a look. I saw some new comments in there, but let's take a look and let's see what IG is about. Let's see. I got business consultant trying to get some business here in my chat. It's all good though. All right. Okay. So let's move on. So we have the state electricity privatization efforts happening, right? Where, as we left off, the president had, in effect, issued an executive order saying that they were going to stop paying the big three players. Now, as far as where we are right now is that the EDH has been providing direct gas and diesel to Seejeanty and ePower to operate their businesses. And that's kind of where it's at, right? Though there's an executive order for the stoppage of a payment and other factors of the the government to investigate the contracts, to arrest former ministers. There's been no arrests, even though there's been a requirement to stop work. The president has announced that there needs to be a stoppage of work from these guys. Vogue and a lot of and the folks who are most vocal about what's going on to their companies, electricity companies, have said they haven't received any specific order from the government to stop providing service. And in fact, EDH has, in a sense, become the middleman now, ensuring that they're still able to operate. Right. The state is still continuing, though. They've just hired two major law firms to try to go after these electricity companies, in particular, to try to get the money they feel that is owed. In particular, they've accused Seejeanty for overcharging, for saying that there was 3 generators. They've been charged for 3 generators, even though one of the generators have been down, and they want that money back. Even though I've seen a tour from a radio program in the country, or TV program in the country, which is respected for being nonpartisan, and they've come out and showed a very extensive video, sort of documentary, that details the process of how Seejeanty operates and how they bill their client. And in fact, the monitors that are involved, that are connected directly to EDH, and I believe it's the World Bank, an operation unit of the World Bank, that tracks the meter, right, that tracks how much electricity is outputted from Seejeanty's plant to the grid, are independently validated each month by not only EDH, but someone from the Court of Cassation, and additionally a representative from the World Bank, right? And they all sign off before they bill the state. So the fact that the state's accusing Seejeanty of overcharging, despite the fact that the process of how they charge the state is very clear, and there's multiple parties involved in how the state's charged, to me, shows the unfortunate abuse of the executive branch on the ignorance and the emotion of the people, right? You see, luckily, the folks on the stream right now, you guys are coming and you guys are learning about how that process works, right? About how they're charged. I'm happy about that. But a lot of folks don't know. A lot of folks are, he's doing, President Joel is doing a very Trumpesque strategy where he's trying to focus the anger instead of on the conditions on the ground and what he should be doing versus targets, right? And the electricity company, which is run by, are very representative of the bourgeoisie in the country. And he's expressed that on past State of the Unions, that he feels the people on the street because of parties that don't like what he's doing, right? In terms of how he's operating, how he's taking money out of their pocket. And that's his interpretation of the protests right now. It's not about the 30% increase in inflation year over year for people. It's not about the gas price increase that he's trying to do. It's not about the 40% depreciation of the good, right? It's not about the fact that corruption, there hasn't yet to be an arrest for corruption in the country since he's been talking about it, because they know he's from that same political party that was a part of the corruption. So there's never going to be an arrest, right? It's not about any of that, right? It's to him, it's about the bourgeoisie don't like him, and he's trying to make an example out of two bastions of what the bourgeoisie have done, which is get contracts under these electricity companies, right? And so that decisiveness of trying to devise the movement and devise the country up is certainly one more reason why I personally have seen through the president, and it certainly adds to the reason why I feel he should go. But certainly I feel many people understand what the play is, and frankly aren't buying what he's trying to do, as in what he's doing now, which again, hiring lawyers, paying lawyers using state resources instead of going after fundamental issues of what needs to be gone after. Because, I mean, you guys tell me, have we heard him say he's hired lawyers to go after the Petro Caribe people? I'm waiting. Have we heard him say he hired lawyers to go after any magistrat, any government official who is part of any corruptive action? They're not too hard to find, right? They're like, it's like roaches when you turn on your light on at 1 a.m. in your kitchen. They're everywhere, right? It's not hard to even find a low-level person just to make an example, just to say, look, we're doing something. Have we seen a lawyer hired to arrest and prosecute even a low-level official who's a part of corruption? No, we haven't. But yet we're seeing a play going after electricity providers, right? And resources being spent, executive orders being written to go after that, right? And then you got to ask yourself, why is that, right? Why is that? And you arrive to where I'm at, right? Before I move on to the next story, let me take a quick look at what people are saying in chat, right? Let's see. We have, let's scroll all the way up. Lots of conversation going on. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, here we go. David Bassett says, seems the society needs a national service program that will reserve all the unemployed people and use them to build infrastructure, homes via state-owned, construction-owned company. You know what, David? I'd vote you for president. I tell you, I vote you for president, right? Because how awesome would it be if on day one we had a president doing that? And I gotta tell you, though, President Jovenel Moise on day one was doing some stuff that I certainly bought my patience, between the Carnival of Changement and some of the things he was doing across the country, which is laudable. Again, I'm a fair and balanced person. If you do, sou fait bon, oui, monsieur. Sou fait mal, m'abdou, right? And he was doing some good, right? But certainly that level of good that David Bassett mentioned certainly shouldn't be part of any serious president's plan of action on day one. Matthew Denfall, how things in Wanamet. I think things in Wanamet are the way it is in many provinces, which is it's very difficult right now for a lot of provincial cities. Insecurity is up tremendously. We've had tremendous difficulty to get supplies, fuel. I know places in the country go on 3.5, 4 months without a drop of gasoline or diesel at the local gas station, right? Insecurity is up tremendously. I know places in the provinces that are experiencing legitimate famine, right? I know places in the provinces that hospitals haven't been able to restock, and people are dying in hospital beds because they can't get oxygen, medicine, and et cetera, right? So it's Port-au-Prince is tough, but it's even tougher in the provinces because of the roadblocks, primarily the roadblocks that are happening, in addition to the insecurity happening in the roads. Because to get to the south of a lot of the Haitian cities, for example, to get to Okai, to get to Jérémie, we have to pass through Matissan, which has been, even the best of times, a very difficult place, but now has effectively become a no man's land, right? All right, so I hope that answered your question there. Canal David says, Mateli Lamont promised a lot, especially on the integration of the diaspora, but ended up delivering. Well, here's the thing. He said delivering nothing, but here's the thing, Canal. They did some stuff, right? Because it was under Mateli that the amendment was signed that allows any Haitian person of descent to be able to participate in the economy and the nation as if they're born here and did not have a second citizenship. Because the way it was before Mateli came to power and signed the 2011 amendment to the Constitution, if you held a second passport, you weren't a citizen anymore. In fact, you had to go through as if you were a non-citizen. You had to get a permis de séjour and do a bunch of stuff. In 2011, he signed into law that act. And the reason I'm able to be in Haiti and perform what I've been able to perform is because I have my own social security number, Haitian social security number, and I can function normally as if I never left, as if I never lived in America, right? So, we got to be very clear when we say nothing. They did something, right? We always got to qualify what we do. And qualify what we do by making sure we're fully informed, right? The question should never be, they did. You should never say a statement and say they never did anything. It should be formed as a question. What did they do? And then that opens up information that will add to your capacity to make the right choice for a future person. And the reality is, Martinelli did do some stuff, and most importantly, he signed that amendment that, in effect, even allowed you to vote before you can even vote, right? So, as a Haitian diaspora, as long as you can show that you are a Haitian mother, Haitian father, you can get a Haitian electoral card, which I have, and you can vote in the Haitian election, right? So, there's some stuff that was done, but certainly there's a lot more to be done, to be done. But let's not say nothing was done. We've got to be very clear on that. Some stuff was done, Kinal David. Mali Bita Financier says a lot of demonstrators actually want to be able to be in line, to be able to line in security with and eat. When I was there, I saw many people having some sort of business. It is false. 2 days if they're lazy, and I'm not too much understanding of that right there. You have to restate that there. Not a good there. Steve Q says there's no democracy in Haiti. It's total anarchy. Okay, Steve Q. If you say so, right? You always gotta love the extreme people who come in, right? Totally disparage, everything as if there's no qualitative. It's like, when you have this guy would never say the French protests were total anarchy. They would never say the Ecuadorian protests, which are even worse, the Chilean protests. I mean, if you just do a quick Google search and see some of the imagery coming out of there and the looting that happens there, right? But still, the concentration is, what are the issues? Why are people mad? And what the government doing to engage those people and improve and change that topic and narrative? But of course, it's that's probably the most frustrating part I got to tell you about, being part of these protests is the fact that, the most uninformed comments come not from, the media. New York Times is demonized, Trump is demonized, right? But truly, the folks who are the worst in terms of promoting the bottom barrel discussions of Haiti and what's going on to the worst denominator are other Haitians, right? And I could very easily be disparaging, say it's because these other Haitians are equally as uneducated as the very people they're criticizing. That'd be the easy thing to say. But it's still very annoying, right, to continually get that, not from others, but from people who also have French last names and our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors who were slaves and who fought, right? It is what it is, though. And the only way to improve that is for those who do get it, to keep fighting on the ground and improve the conditions so there can be a wave of ignorant positivity in the other direction, right? So we'll keep going. I had to share that perspective. We got Elv Alexi saying, I'm not into Haitian politics, but I don't think what's going on in Haiti is hard to tell. Haiti was invaded, from my understanding. Does invaders shape the political system now that people want change? I think that speaks to the colonial past that Evo is expressing. So certainly there's foreign powers that are geopolitical interests that aren't aligned with the people on the ground. And that's certainly affecting, again, one reason why President Moise is still in power now is because the United States, he's cool. He's their boy, right? He's voted against Venezuela. He continues to stick with Taiwan instead of moving to China, despite China providing an entire new city-state of Port-au-Prince, rebuilt multi-billions of dollars. But he's toed the line. He stayed firm with the interest of America. And he's being rewarded by being able to stay in power despite every single sector of the Haitian social, political world, economic structure wanting him gone, right? So certainly there is a geopolitical side that we certainly need to ensure we talk about and keep that in the discussion, in the web of discussion. Let's see something. All right. Okay. So next up, I see that follow many conversations. But what I noticed that almost is always left out of narrative. Actually, my liberté says wants to ask for money. I saw people buying clothes in China, selling them in the neighborhood. Others playing video games, seeking water stuff. The country is full of enterprise. I don't quite understand that. I think he's speaking to people buying stuff in China and then reselling them here in Haiti. Not to get in that comment. I follow many conversations, but I notice the most. What I notice almost always left out of the narrative is how the history of Haiti still shapes its current predicament and role. Very true. Very true. Chronic instability. Very true. Very true. Right. But let's put this in context for a second, though, right? When I look across the world as a guy who enjoys history and knowing historical narratives, if Europe is the parameter of how we understand things, let's talk about Europe. The French Revolution. I mean, that was an era of 30 to 40 years of continual violence and political disruption. Some argue, because arguably the reason why Haiti was able to revolt was because France was in such a state of political disorganization they couldn't really mount a proper fight back, right? To invest, to keep Haiti as a slave-holding colony. And when you look at those times historically, there's repeated instability, and eventually, each knockback we move a little closer to a proper society until finally we do get a degree of stability, right? I am hopeful that throughout this instability, constant instability that's happening in Haiti, we will at some point get it right. Right? There's an old expression. Was it Shakespeare who said it? Right? You leave a monkey in front of a typewriter long enough, right? He will write Shakespeare. Right? It's a matter of time before repeated attempts finally gets it right. I'm sure I messed up that saying somehow, but I'm confident that we'll get it right one of these times. Right? If it takes the 100th time. But certainly leaving things the way they are right now, as much as I agree with you, as much as I agree I am for stability, leaving things the way they are currently isn't benefiting anyone except those who have the will of power and control, right? Bounce Bougie 11 says where people in general fail in society is not by knowing or paying attention to the politics of the era. We have to be engaged in the system for it to work for us all. I totally agree with you. Engagement is where it needs to be. And engaging however it makes sense. Me as someone who it's not about the politics, right? But certainly there is a recognition that all roads lead to politics, and there needs to be a discussion relative to it, right? Iraq Prince, good morning. Good to see you. Good afternoon now. Good to see you. We have Alexis Davis saying, I'm responding. Okay, I'll let you guys talk it out between you guys. So John Lamb, in the case of the president leaving, who will take over the office? I've talked about this countless times, John Lamb. I do recommend that you take a look at one of my prior streams where I've got to that in detail. In short, there's going to be a commission. There already is a commission in place. They've already selected people from the judiciary to head the selection of the transitional president, who's also going to be selected from the judiciary, and that judiciary then is in charge of, typically is in charge of selecting a new president. Selecting a transitional government with temporary ministers, in addition to getting the new election underway. The aim of this time, is to actually get the transitional president, transitional government in place, and then work on getting a new constitution, right? So we've talked about this many times in more detail, but there is a plan in place. There is not a plan in place. So let's be clear about that. Views, guy ES Views. Good morning. First time I'm seeing you in the chat. Good to see you. Thank you for bringing the real news and information to us in this way. It's much needed. Why don't we use the same spiritual faculties during the revolution? Good question. I don't know that. Right? I know a lot of people laugh at those things, but I'm curious. Right? Though I'm not too sure when he says spiritual faculties during the revolution. I'm not too sure what he means by that. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. You have to elaborate, to be quite honest. I'm not too sure. Conversation back and forth. Good to see that. David Bassett says, we are doing that in Eritrea. It works, believe me. Okay. Conversation back and forth. I'll be in Haiti next year. I'm afraid of the protests. And it's down, living is living. I'm not too sure what that means. Right. But I will say this, though. Until the protests die down, I do recommend folks not coming. It's certainly not something I want to. It pains me to recommend this, but certainly we're not at a place where it makes sense to be coming in the country right now, given that, not that you're unsafe, but the fact that there's blockades happening everywhere and anywhere, which is going to impede your ability to commute across the country and across the city, right? And so for that reason, primarily, until things stabilize and there is a lessening of that, I do recommend folks hold off on their travel into the country, unfortunately, right? My libertaire says, I meant to live in security. It's false to say they're lazy and just want charity. I agree with you. Totally agree with you. I'm on my phone. Autocorrection is killing me. I feel you. Been there, done that. Pierre Paul, the most harmful comments, imagery is always from Haitians. Yeah, I agree with you in any case. How do you see the situation next year for the country? Also, so I don't know. Anybody who tells you they know how this ends, when this ends, they're lying to you. I don't know. I'm watching it day by day, just like you guys are. We don't know. We don't know. That's the best and most I can tell you. I can't give you anything else other than that. And until there's something definite happens that assures security, I would hold off on any travel into the country unless you have to be here. I have business interests. I have to be here, right? But other than that, I would hold off on any travel, to be quite honest with you. Again, not because of you are going to be unsafe, right? Just because there's roadblocks everywhere and you can't go anywhere or do anything. You can try, but you can't make plans, right? So that's my recommendation to you, Pierre Paul. Winnie Lumen, good morning. Good morning. Good to see you, my dear. She says, what process efficiencies are being discussed for property owners in Haiti? I don't quite understand your question. Please elaborate on that question, Whitney, so I can get a better understanding of that and can engage. I went to Haiti as a teen after the earthquake. I remember seeing other kids with no clothes on and dubious nations walking around with their guns. Yeah, it was a tough time. That time during the earthquake was very difficult. Is there a network of critical thinkers like yourselves who share a unified way to grow their country, like the Black Panther movement did? So there's groups that are actively engaged. For example, United Front of the Haitian Diaspora. You are welcome to check them out. Do a Google search, United Front Haitian Diaspora. You go to their website, you can see some of the things they've done. That's certainly one group. Haiti Ahead is a organization that I'm familiar with as well. And they're more engaged on strictly the economic impact, not too much engagement on the political side of things. The economic impact of Haiti, they're working on building some massive projects, industrial zones, power plants. There's some real impactful work. Most recently, they've been engaged with in Leogan, trying to get a sugar mill back up and going. So there's some organizations that are doing some great things. And Haiti Ahead and United for the Haitian Diaspora, two groups I do suggest you look at if you are looking to be part of something that isn't just about talk about that action. We got John Telesma saying if Haitians know how to negotiate and dialogue, we would be much better off as a country, most importantly, advance. I agree. I agree. I certainly, at some point, I hope that the level of corruption by the politicians are enough to are removed enough to allow that sort of things to happen. At the moment, we're very far away from that. And I feel that now what I feel is that they were just armed gunmen allowing Haiti to be milked. Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Whitney Lubin, I agree about the business formation process being too cumbersome when other areas can be helped with the process improvements that eliminate corruption. The thing is, a lot of common sense things that could be done. For example, I shared a story in Sierra Leone about some YouTubers who were in the country, and we had some health government officials who forced them to purchase cholera vaccine stamps, right? And then those YouTubers shared the story of corruption because it didn't exist, right? It was just them wanting to be paid a bribe to the point where they're even roughed up, right? And they shared that story on YouTube, and very quickly, within 24 hours, the Anti-Corruption Commission, which is a unit, it's not just a commission, but it's literally a unit within the police force in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, right? Right? Has an anti-corruption unit that immediately went out, arrested these people, fired them from their positions, and as we speak right now, are awaiting trial, right? Would that happen in Haiti? No, right? So there's a lot of common sense things that we could do. For example, having an independent anti-corruption unit that sole purpose is you can report acts of corruption, and they will go after and investigate officials in the government doing stuff, and without restriction, senators to presidents, they can go after them carte blanche, right? And that's certainly one such idea, right? That's hopefully I live long enough to see something like that put in place in Haiti, right? And until something like that's put in place in Haiti, I don't think there ever will be any movement against corruption, right? And when I was a group who was focused on self-reliance and self-solution, yeah, I mentioned Haiti Ahead and also United for the Haitian Diaspora. I do suggest you do take a look at them and potentially be engaged if you're so inclined, right? So they do exist, certainly. Young Haitian, Lavender says, a young Haitian doing business but lacking structure. The country's full of entrepreneurs. True, I guess I will say true. Lawrence Gonzales says, any business 2020 predictions, growth, stability. Great question, Lawrence. Great question. I'll be honest. The outlook for the Haitian economy is very bleak. The IMF, in fact, revised the GDP of Haiti to be 0.1, but that's optimistic as hell. I think the real number, once it comes out, is going to be negative. And in fact, the very next news story, let me use this opportunity to transition to the next news story, is indicative of where the economy is going in a general sense. Next news story has to do with the tourism numbers. I think I mentioned this last week. I was on air, but I didn't go into the details. We have from 2018, we had a drop in the tourism. This is by number of visitors, from 515,000 visitors down to 420,000 in 2018, which represented a negative 18% drop. And this is being reported by the Association of Tourism in Haiti, right? And this is a part of many different members across hotels and restaurants. And this year, they're seeing and expect from 420,000 down to 300,000 visitors in 2019, and that's representing a 30% decrease, right? So remember, last year we had 18%, this year we had 30%, right? So altogether, we're looking at almost a 45 to 50% drop in the total amount of visitors year over year, right? Or at least 2 years over year, right? That represents and additionally too, we've had a drop, 50 to 60% drop in jobs in the country. I'm gonna say it again, 50 to 60% decrease in jobs. What does that mean though? You can hear a percentage, you're like, what does that mean? What's the impact really? You ready for this? So this is per the World Travel and Tourism Council, independent group that does this sort of economic research. There's over 300,000 direct and indirect jobs within the Haitian tourism sector. So that would represent 100 to 150,000 lost jobs altogether now in the Haitian economy. Remember, on pays qui déjà a problème chômage, right? And you're losing this year over 100,000 jobs within the tourism sector, right? And again, these numbers aren't crazy numbers, right? To kind of say that's not true. Remember, we've had the Best Western temporary closed. We've had one of the major hotels in Okap, Montjoli, closed. Again, these are, per what I'm hearing, temporary closures. But until this situation improves, they may as well be permanent closures. You might as well just announce them as permanent closures until this improvement drastically improves, right? And countless other hotels are operating at fractional efficiency. For example, I'm aware of the Marriott. They have over eight floors, I believe, but they're only operating two. Two floors are being in operation, right? And that's it, right? Massive impacts, right? And even when you're not getting directly impacted by what's going on in Haiti, the next news story shows you how the geopolitical game, Haiti's getting affected. So the next news story has to do with Cuba Airlines. Cubana de my Spanish friends are getting mad at me. Cubana de Aviación. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop. Right? Cuba Airlines. We'll leave it at that. Right? Because of the embargo, the Trump administration has doubled down on the embargo in Haiti. They've had two airlines that they're releasing. The contracts have been terminated because the embargo has forced the leaser's hand, because they are ultimately connected to American firms and they have to submit to American regulation when it comes to trade, right? In addition, they're not allowed. They have been able to purchase any planes, and as such, they've had to cancel flights across many places, including Mexico, Cancun, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Martinique, Guadeloupe. But in addition, they've canceled flights to Port-au-Prince. Now, Cuba Airlines is one of the largest airlines in Cuba. We've talked about this before. Cuba in particular recently has a very large foothold in Haiti recently. They've come in large numbers. If you ever are leaving Port-au-Prince early in the morning, any day of the week, half the airport will be made of Cubans who have sacks of massive products, which they bought locally, domestically in the economy, and are bringing them back to Cuba to resell, right? A lot of products, American products and Chinese products, they can't necessarily get them, easily because of the embargo. So a lot of entrepreneurial-minded Cubans go to other countries, and Haiti being a favorite, to buy these products and ship them back, which has been helpful to many players in the game. For example, MSC Plus, they go to a lot of hardware stores, in addition to a lot of informal places to buy the product. Now, this has also been a very negative impact, right? And only adds to the malaise of the Haitian economy, given the very close connection between these entrepreneurial Cubans and the activity they were doing in the country. Because again, these products that they're buying, they do come in through the port customs, which the Haitian government is able to tax. And with less demand for those goods to come into Haitian customs, less money is available for the government to do and perform their functions, right? And that's just another example of Haiti being stuck in a unadvantageous geopolitical situation that is hurting them, right? Right. I'll wrap this up with the last news story for the day, which relates to TPS. As you know, a lot of Haitian Americans or Haitians in America are, almost 60,000 are facing potential deportation as they wait for the word on whether they're going to be able to stay or not. And their deadline previously was January 2020, which is right around the corner, 2 months away. But the Trump administration has since expanded TPS for another year. So the deadline now for a decision and for TPS people to ultimately leave is going to be 2021 right now. So I guess the one blessing, if you want to call that, of what's going on in the country currently has been the fact that it's hard to argue for someone to go back to a country that is locked as it is right now. And maybe if we sit back and think about it, maybe that is why there are so many Haitians abroad who speak so poorly of Haiti, are so loud and vocal about it, because if they don't, they'll be deported back. As an economist, I laugh, but I'm serious here. As an economist, both undergrad and graduate, the number one thing you learn to identify is what is the incentive of the person or entity or organization or government, right? And once you follow the incentives, you understand the behavior, right? And so maybe I'm making this realization right now on air with you guys. Maybe the reason why so many Haitians are the loudest and most negative about Haiti, is because the incentives are for them to talk as poorly and as loudly about the country as they can to prevent them from being shipped back. Because if they were to talk about Haiti the way it really is, they probably would be shipped back. In most times. Right now it is tough, but in most times, it's exaggerated. And if they were to talk about how things are in most times, they would be shipped back. So maybe, I think we figured it out, guys. I think we figured it out. But in TPS, again, TPS extended one more year, and that is good news for a lot of Haitians, because again, you have folks who've been here over 10 years since the earthquake, who know very little of Haiti, and a lot of them even lost their Creole. And so, from the perspective of whether Haiti could even handle 60,000 people back on their shores, no. The answer is no. Right? So those are the main news stories for today, right? And I do want to open the floor up, guys. If I haven't talked about any news story that you guys want me to talk about, feel free to drop it in the comment. Let's have a little conversation about it, right? But that's the news story for the week. So let's look in the comments to see what folks are saying. Lawrence followed up with that and said, "Are there any real estate websites?" Yes, I know. We have a Flash 509 is the Craigslist of Haiti, and there's a lot of real estate websites out there. But additionally, though, there is realtors out there that exist on IG that reputationally have built very strong audiences. Come and Go Real Estate is one on Instagram. You guys should check out. Schindler. I can't really research that, but Lawrence, like if you are looking for real estate websites, message me privately, and I'll send you a few groups that I'm aware of. Kai Lakai, I believe, is another real estate company as well, that has a very large footprint in the real estate market as well. So just let me know, and I'll send you a few that I'm aware of. Right. Let's see. I do appreciate the back and forth conversations happening in the chat between you guys. Love that. Keep it up. Very cool. Creating pride in the Haitian community, things such as movies, seeing, believing what Haiti's done in the past. I agree. There's certainly a lack of representation of what real Haiti is, and that's a problem. And that's one reason why Seejeanty YouTube exists. And again, a lot of real cool content showing that other side. Right? Have they written a new constitution? Yes, they have. Does it include the diaspora? Yes, it does. I mean, is the diaspora fully written? I mean, is the Constitution fully written? No, but the bullet points of what's going to be in there has already been discussed. Again, that Constitution episode, I really need you guys to check it out. In fact, probably what I'll try to do is I'll probably do another formal Seejeanty parler about the Constitution, so I can refer to that specific video. Because I know the Haiti Biz News show that I did talk about it, again, it's kind of hidden, not hidden, but it's kind of inside the larger episode, right? So you got to kind of get through it, and then you got to find it. So I think it'll be a goal of mine for the next 2 weeks to do an official undo pilot about what's next, right? Where it's just you and me very succinctly within 10 minutes, where I lay out step by step what has been proposed, who is next. So when I get this, probably the most common question given what's going on is those sort of questions. And so it's important that you guys know, right? And I'll be able to point towards that. So look out for that video. I promise the next week or two we'll get that out on the channel, right? Views in the small instances of spirituality, our spirituality works perfectly fine. We exact our purpose on individuals often. Why don't we pull from the same spiritual system of voodoo to get one of these people out of the office or force? Okay. I'm sure there's plenty of people trying. Put it like that, I'm sure there's plenty of people in the woods right now trying, in rivers, doing different voodoo things to get President Joe Louise out. I'm confident in saying that is happening. All right. Bootlegger, good afternoon. Actually, good afternoon. Not sure where you're at, but good afternoon, where I'm at. Canal David says, I understand the need for positivity and hope, which seems to be entrusted in the hands of the destiny rather than organized social, political, economic roadmap. But it hasn't to be over 20. I'm not quite understanding what he's saying. Right. I think there's been nothing but organized political movement for the past 200 years. If you look into the past, there's been nothing but political coups and people, young Haitian, every generation, young Haitian group of men, coming into the country and with guns and pushing campaigns of violence. Because I'm talking about the early 90s, right? Early 90s, early 1990s, early 1900s, right? That's all, and to the point where that's one reason why the United States occupied us. A lot of people don't know this, but what led to the occupation was the Haitian people broke into or busted into the French embassy, where the Haitian president at the time was hiding for his life. They pulled him out of the embassy, murdered him, chopped him up, and put his body parts across different parts of the city of Port-au-Prince. And then that prompted the United States to invade us and occupy us for, 30 years, right? So it's important that I share these stories because, there's a conversation from people like Canal David here that really believe that there needs this constant, never-ending cycle of political protests, and the fact that I need to be a part of that, right, is the way the country changes. Not realizing that if these people like Canal David would actually just stop feeling so passionate and bringing this conversation, this barbershop conversation, right, and actually take some time to literally try. I mean, that's what I recommend you. I recommend you literally from the time of Boyer, Pétion, and Henry Christophe, literally research every single administration that has come to power and lost power. Take time and do that and see how they came to power, how they lost power. And you'll see that it's constantly, and it has always been in Haiti, a continual game of politics. People wanting to come in, change the political system, right? They're tired of poverty and desperation, and they want to impose their political perspective of how Haiti should be, rather than a formal, logical discussion of how do we amplify wealth creation, how do we amplify jobs, how do we amplify the living conditions of the people by making it easier in Haiti a more welcoming place. That's never been the case. It's always been strictly a political, we're going to go in, we're going to clean out house, we're going to put our will, this is the version of government that needs to happen, right? But that has been the history of Haiti from the beginning. What I'm proposing, which is very clearly, whoever comes into power, we need to engage them, hold them to account, to make the number one priority for them being an easier business environment. And you'd be surprised, especially if that business environment is led by Haitians, right? Not foreign interests, but actual Haitians. And those Haitians understand too that, their enterprise needs to be job centric. Just what the potential is to change and improve the country, right? And that hasn't been done. No one has ever really focused change in the country to be like that, right? And that's my 2 cents, right? And it's important to know your history. It's important to leave the barbershop conversations in the barbershop. And when you come to Haiti Biz News Show and you provide a commentary, make sure you have a full understanding of just what you mean when you say, political revolution and stopping the wheel, because you're actually a part of the wheel. You don't know that, but you're actually part of the wheel. And let's have a different conversation. Let's have a conversation more focused on business solutions and having that be the focus. Because when we can create and improve a situation where the poor in the country have jobs, when the poor in the country have opportunity, then you see a trickle effect of genuine, legitimate improvement of the conditions of the country. Because the common denominator of the suffering of the Haitian people, it's one thing. It's a three-letter word, a four-letter word if you include the S. Jobs, right? And any solution that isn't job-centric, job-focused, and improving the environment to allow jobs to organically come from the private sector, c'est caca à parler. En clair, c'est caca à parler. All right? We got Bruce saying, trying to clarify my statement. Okay. Let's see, Canal David, way to overturn. Canal still on that overturning stuff. Fair enough. Bootlegger, I certainly hope the best for Haiti. Politicians are there, are puppets. Exactly. So I don't disagree with you, Bootlegger. Whitney Lubin says, my parents have a home in Haiti, but they are reliant on people to help them to do simple things like paying taxes because it is not transparent. That is the reality of the country. You have to know somebody to be able to do simple things like interacting and paying your taxes, even because if you're to walk in to the tax office to try to do your transaction legitimately, you will be openly asked to pay a bribe at the time. Imagine if you go into the IRS and the guy who greets you says, cool. How about, they kind of stick their hand in the air. How about $50,000? And I share this story because it happened to me. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Right? Won't go any further. Let's see, graduation on 2K. Bootlegger says I'll be moving from Las Vegas to La Gonave when I'm able. Cool. All right. Good luck to you there. Oh, and it is okay. And it is still morning over there in Las Vegas. Right. Let's see. Disney has shaped tours in America just from the animation. If you understand the points of Disney in America, you see the need. You will see what is needed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, having massive investment from a private enterprise like a Disney to reshape, Orlando and Florida. I certainly agree. Would help. Haiti needs help telling a story. Totally agree. Some conversations back and forth there. Cool, good to see. Whitney, on my anti-corruption bureau idea, liking that. Cool. I agree to our story, absolutely. We have Sean Saturn, a new face, a new name in the chat today. Good morning or good afternoon. Tourism has also been affected by local farmers. Local farmers were the source of, hotel services. Yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of farmers sell to the hotels their products, and they can't sell it now. So that's another big part, big sector of the economy. There's a ripple effect. That those numbers that I gave, I said 60 to 70, 60 to 50% of jobs were lost, and over 100 to 150,000 jobs were affected. That number includes the farms, right? The entire ecosystem that helps support the tourism sector and transportation to secondary. For example, there's some construction being done in front of my office for the better part of 3 weeks, and each day those guys would go and buy big plates of rice. I'm talking about at least 20 guys on the site buy big plates of rice from the local. There's a local street vendor that makes really good food. So there was a street vendor, again, off the street. Mama Saya was making like rice and chicken and a bunch of stuff. And you see the trickle down effect, how this construction job allowed this local street vendor to make money. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's incredible trickle down effect that a hotel shutting down. Not only is the immediate effect of the 20 or 30 people that work there, but then the 100 plus other people who were supporting those 30 people get to work, feed themselves, are also affected. So, Sean Saturn, you're absolutely right. There is a much larger effect of the tourism sector. That's certainly a problem. Which, let's see, like Exa says, which not having 24/7 electricity may be stalling from the people. Not sure what you're asking there, but certainly not having electricity 24/7 is a negative impact. Absolutely. Haitians are telling their story, which aren't being picked up. They go elsewhere. It is what they prefer, which is also documented. The people don't choose Haitian outlets. Okay, all right. Conversations between those guys. Good stuff. Good to see. Let's see. Evie Erithin says we should practice power economics from Dr. Claude Anderson. I am familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson's book, his work, and I totally agree with you. And I think by the nature that Haiti is a black country with 11 million people, doing business here is by definition practicing power economics, right? By very definition. So we just got to get more folks thinking like that, thinking that, hey, let's see what we can do to set up enterprise that will engage the people here, right? A lot of conversation back and forth here between folks. I'm loving that. A lot of conversation back and forth. Love that. All right. And our Chris says all the Disney mercy is made in Haiti. Oh, all the Disney merchandise. Is it though? Is it? Disney merch, is it? I don't know. You have to send me a photo of next time you're in Disney and it says made in Haiti. I don't know. I don't know that. It would be great if it is, but I don't know that. Right? A lot of Haitians are die working for Disney. $10, $20 pay cap. For Bass 20, it's a curse. All right, yeah, certainly. I'm not sure I've heard Haitians dying, but certainly it's tough to live off of the wages of most tourism jobs in Florida. I can say that with a degree of it's problematic, right? And again, a lot of conversations back and forth here within the comments. I love that, and I do appreciate seeing that. And let me take a look at IG. So you got any comments in here to engage with? Nope, nothing. All right, cool. So this is where we're going to end it. Look at that. I see an hour and 45 minutes on the timer, and this is what I meant when I said that our our weekly episodes we're gonna take our time. We're gonna go as long as we needed to not only go through the stories, but also to engage in the conversation. And I hope I lived up to that promise, guys, that we had hopefully a deeper conversation than usual. And I hope that the weekly episodes, that yes, they're not daily, but I do hope it comes with more content, more impactful conversations, more insightful conversations. I hope you guys leave, each session a little more knowledgeable about what needs to happen. As promised, I will work on producing a new palais, specifically about what comes next. Look out for that. If not this week, maybe next week. Look out for that. We'll try to get that out soon. Because again, these questions keep coming up, and I certainly don't mind engaging it. But it's such a long conversation that if I were to repeat it every single time, we would really go 3 hours. So I'm going to do a new palais on that and drop that within that coming week or two. So look out for that. Again, we're going to try to do this every Sunday at 11 a.m. Okay, so set your timer. Sunday, 11 a.m. to get this conversation going. And as always, of course, YouTube Seejeanty, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. HaitiBizNews.com, HaitiBizNews.com. Don't wait for the Sunday cast to stay informed of what's going on in the country. HaitiBizNews.com. We're going to all the big websites. We're looking for business stories in particular. We're putting them in English, transforming them from the from the French language, and putting them on the site. So do make that part of your morning routine. HaitiBizNews.com. Right, as I mentioned, the Core 95 GoFundMe will be below in the description. Do make sure you check that out. And again, if you guys really gained from this conversation, share the stream. It's really important. Share the stream. Let's get this information out. A lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know about that I shared. We shared. You guys contributed. So certainly help get your voice out there by sharing the stream. And improving the knowledge quotient of our conversations, because that's a very big part of really changing the country, is making sure we who are in the diaspora are much more informed about the realities on the ground here, right? From the guy who's on the ground, shared it with you, right? In your perspective, right? So listen, guys, that's where we're going to end it. And as always, do appreciate you guys for coming on the stream. Everyone who participated, I consider you guys co-hosts, right? So today we had a consistent 30 to 40 people who were co-hosts today. So thank you, co-hosts, right, for being engaged, right? And listen, guys, you know how I'm gonna end it. Until we're back at it again, we'll be back at it again. Have a great Sunday. Next week, Sunday, 11 a.m., we're gonna talk more Haiti Biz News. All right, peace.